afternoon.
You can pull the mic down.
It's always a pleasure to come to Meyerland and visit with friends and supporters over the past 3 election cycles. We know that primary elections are about candidates that can win in the November election. As y'all know, I ran against Mike Sullivan in 2012 and only lost by 0.2%. You also know that I ran in 2010 for Harris County Clerk and only lost and did not lose. I actually beat a party establishment person by 63% of the vote. This is a very serious election. The voter registrar's office has shown us that they're going to continue this culture of corruption, politics, and suppression of our votes. I am running for this office because I have a passion for what goes on both in the county clerk's office and the tax assessor collector's office. And for the past 3 election cycles, we have worked hard to register voters, to engage voters. I've advocated for registering our children. Our high schools are not registering our kids as they are required to by law. We also know that we have a tax assessor collector that has, on many occasions, taken folks out in public and publicly humiliated them for not paying their taxes. I'm going to end that. I'll be advocating, as I have since 2009, for online voter registration, for automatic voter registration. Once you're registered, you stay registered. I also would advocate for expansion of Medicaid. We spend at least $600 million a year on indigent health care. $500 million of that comes out of your pocket. It's time for us to bring that office into the 21st century, take the politics and cronyism out of it, and serve the taxpayers and the voting public as that office is set to do. My name is Ann Bennett. I have been in it to win it. I am still in it to win it, and I would appreciate your support again. I'm looking forward to getting through this primary and challenging Mike Sullivan again. With just a mere 2,300 votes, I can take this office in November, and I need your help and your support to do it. I think I've proven myself over the past 3 election cycles to be a viable candidate. I have name recognition. When I get into the general election, I will have Republicans crossing over to vote for me, and that's where those extra votes come from. I am looking forward to working with Meyerland, as I have in the past, to bring integrity, transparency, and accountability into an office where we've had 4 administrations that have been caught up in lawsuits and scandals. That, my dear, that's money that comes out of your pocket. Anytime we have to fight a lawsuit down at the county, you're paying for it. It's time out for that. I want to also make sure that all of our voters are on the rolls legally. Mike Sullivan and his past predecessors have all been guilty of purging our voter rolls. We get behind the 8 ball every time. It's like Groundhog Day, every election. He's doing it again. There he goes, he's purging. He just said he was going to purge 84,000 voters because their voter registration cards came back. Those are our young folks who are moving around from one place to another for whatever reason. And I intend to stop it. I will end the culture of corruption, politics, obstruction in the tax assessor collector's office. Help me get there. I need your help. Early voting is tomorrow. You know how strong I feel about early voting. We've got to get it done before Election Day. Thank you. My name is Ann Bennett, and I've always been in it to win it.
I'm Brandon Dudley, and I want to be your next Democratic tax assessor and voter registrar, because this office is key to creating a more fair, equal, and just Harris County that we deserve. Because this office is in control of all the voter registration in Harris County. And the only way we're going to get the change we need here is if we're electing more leaders that are truly reflecting the values of the community. And the only way that's going to happen is that people's voices are being heard at the ballot box. You just heard Ann say, unfortunately what's going on around the country right now is a systematic and coordinated effort to suppress voting rights, make it harder for people to vote, and that's what's happening in this office in Harris County right now, through unjust and unfair voter purges, through unjustly putting people on the suspense list, and we can't continue to stand for that. Because what's happening is we're getting one of the lowest voter registration rates in an urban area in the state. And what's happening from that is we're losing elections, and we're losing them by design. So we need to take this office back, make an office of the people, for the people, and by the people. Then we use those resources that we use to suppress the vote to engage new people in the process, to get people registered to vote. Look, when I looked at running for this office, I went and met with tax assessors and voter registrars around the state and talked to innovative people around the country. And if we just do what they're doing in Travis County through innovative programs like text messaging to get your voter registration, partnering with community organizations to register people where they are, doing voter deputy registrations in the community, actually following Texas law and registering people in high schools twice a year as we're supposed to be doing, we can turn this county dark blue, and we put ourselves on the road to turning Texas blue. And that's how we get better schools in our communities. That's how we get a more fair and just criminal justice system. And that's how we get an economy that works for everybody. But we're going to have to stand up for it, we're going to have to fight for it, and we're going to have to vote for it. Now, the second reason this office is so important is because it's in charge of a lot of the tax collections and sits on the appraisal board here in Harris County. And unfortunately, what it's been used to do is stand in the way and protect unfair and unjust property tax loopholes for billion-dollar corporations that are giving them tax giveaways, and they're passing the bill on to the rest of us. And we're losing valuable resources out of our schools. And so we need somebody in that office that's going to fight for regular folks and tax fairness for everybody, and not just fighting for special interests. And that's why I want to run for this office. Look, I've been endorsed by the Chronicle, numerous grassroots organizations and elected officials, and that's because I've been over 2 decades fighting for progressive issues in the community. Started off as a social worker out of college, decided I wanted to do more, so I went to graduate school for social work to run programs in the greater Houston area. Decided I wanted to go on and do broader policy change, so I went to law school where I first started working on voting rights, and what's more commonly known as the Bush v. Gore case, where we had an election stolen from us. And that's why I first started really digging into voting rights issues across the board. And that's the work we need to be doing. After that, I went and worked at the Innocence Project to help free people who've been wrongfully convicted and work on criminal justice reforms around the country. And for the last 12 years, I've been Chief of Staff and General Counsel for Senator Rodney Ellis, where I've worked on tax fairness issues. I've drafted model legislation on both voting rights and tax fairness. And I want to continue that career in public service as your tax assessor and voter registrar, so I can work with you to fight for a more fair and equal Harris County that works for all of us. I'm Brandon Dudley. I'd love to have your vote, and I want to have your support, and I won't take up too much more of your time because we got a lot of candidates waiting here. We need you to get rested up so you can vote early tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Meyerland. I'm here tonight. I feel at home. I'm a dues-paying member of Meyerland Democratic Club. Not because I'm running for office, but because I live in Meyerland and I have a house here. Let me tell you a little bit about Morris Overstreet and the history of Morris Overstreet. Many of you know it. Many of you helped me win a statewide office, and I became the first African American ever elected to statewide office in the history of Texas. And when I left office, I was one of the last Democrats to ever leave. But let me tell you what I want to do. I want to put that 40 years of experience to work for the people in Harris County. I want to build public trust through integrity, honesty, transparency, and fairness as core values. I want to reduce jail overcrowding by reforming the bail bond pretrial release program. I want to transform the prosecution of small amounts of marijuana and trace amounts of drugs through a cite and release program that mandates drug awareness and drug treatment, and not just jail. I want to replace the court-appointed lawyer system with a fully funded public defender's office. Now, I want to share something with you because it means a lot to me. Both of my opponents have run for this office, and both of them have lost in 2012, 2014. Both of my opponents have run for public office as Republicans, and both of them have lost. They have supported Republicans, they voted in their primaries, and when you were working for Democratic candidates, you know what they were doing? Giving money to Republican candidates. Check the Texas Secretary of State. Check the Harris County voting record. Check the Texas Ethics Commission, and you will find that I'm telling you the truth. It's time for us to win. They said the kid from Amarillo couldn't win a statewide race, but I did it. Not just once, but twice. It's time for the Democrats to go with a real Democrat. Let's win in November, and I urge you, let's overcome with Overstreet, and let's go get them in November with a team that is diverse and a team that is truly a Democratic team, and we will get victory in November. Overcome with Overstreet.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gene Wu. I am your state representative for House District 137. I represent Southwest Houston. I follow some great state reps, one of whom is back in the back room, Paul Colbert. And Scott Michael is not here, but I wish he was. Here's the thing. Just like Scott, just like Paul, I fall in this seat as the nerd seat. This is the seat that does a lot of work and does not get a lot of praise. We are out there every single session. We're out there every single session, and we are going to work hard for you. We're going to be back. We're going to fight for major criminal justice reform. Right? We're going to make our criminal justice system work for us and not against us. We're going to fight for education. We're going to fight for better pre-K funding. We're going to fight for better community colleges. And we're going to fight for real environmental reform. I'm on the select committee right now to deal with the federal changes to the Clean Air Act, the Clean Power Plan. And I will be on that committee to make sure that we all get a fair shake when we're talking about our health and our economy and our environment. Okay? But here's the thing. I'm being challenged right now in the Democratic primary. Okay? But I don't know if he's here or not. Alright? But Mr. Ed Pollard, I don't know where he is, I don't really care. I want to make sure that that you just don't think that I'm just there and I'm perfectly fine. I need your help. Because I'm running against someone who claims to be conservative. How many of y'all think that there are not enough conservatives in the Texas legislature? Who doesn't think there are enough? Now, let me tell you this. There are Democrats who don't vote with other Democrats already in the House. People who didn't vote with us on against guns, people who didn't vote with us on abortion, people who don't vote with us on labor. And they call themselves conservatives too. You know what? We don't need any more conservatives in the Texas House. There are plenty of Republicans already there to yell and scream and do all the things that they want to do without another one. Without another Democrat who doesn't vote with Democrats. And let me tell you this. I want to end with this. I don't just want to win. I want to make sure every single one of you goes home and you know that Edward Pollard is not a Democrat. Okay? He not only says that he's a conservative, he is endorsed publicly by Republican candidates. Okay? You know, this is one of the things, and he has, and last weekend, I ran into some people that I knew. He was actually having Republican operatives, activists in our area out door knocking for him. Think about what that says. Okay? So, don't ever let this happen again. You know, right now there's three candidates, 3 elected Democrats who are being run against, who have opponents who are anti-gay in the primary. Jessica Farrar being run against Dave Wilson, who is a known Republican, running against her in the Democratic primary. And we have Hugh Reveau, and who Demetra Smith is running him, someone who's so virulently anti-gay that was the singularity of her campaign. And I have Edward Pollard, someone who came out virulently against Hero, came out against GLBT issues. it cannot be a surprise that this has happened. All right? So thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Come out and help us out. We all need it. And don't forget, go vote, go vote, go vote.
I'm Justice Jim Sharp. I have previously served with your support, and I am a member of Meyerland, on the First Court of Appeals, and served for 6 years. While there, this is a court, one of two that are in Harris County. There's the First Court and the 14th Court, same 10 counties, more than 6 million people in this electoral district. And I know many of you heard me say this before, but there's, you know, if every U.S. Senate, and it's larger than 30 U.S. states, and every state has 2 senators. So there's 60 United States senators that have been elected in a district smaller than the electoral district, which you helped send me in 2008, and I hope you'll send me back again. This time I'm running for the 14th Court of Appeals. Again, the same 10 counties, same jurisdiction. While I was on the First Court of Appeal, I was the lone and lonely Democrat, and I don't think that will be the case this year because there's some other folks running for the Courts of Appeals in the 14th, in fact, Peter Kelly. The American Bar Association Journal claimed that one of my opinions was a landmark opinion, and that was one as an important one because it it didn't stop, but it sure put a hitch in their get-along of that school to prison pipeline. It was the first time in over 20 years any appellate court had reversed a juvenile certification for an adult crime, or a juvenile certification as an adult for a crime. And the Court of Criminal Appeals affirmed it. That happened on some other cases as well. The Court of Criminal Appeals also affirmed another dissent of mine, which is a good thing. I spent over 10 years in the legislature as a staff member, like Dudley had. And I'm sorry, the sign is going around here. Stop sign. And I better do it. I have to obey. Over 10 years in the legislature as a staff member, Paul Colbert back there can speak to that. And when you're talking about interpreting legislation on the Court of Appeals, that comes in great handy. I've seen the sausage made and I studied it, and it's true. And I ask that you send me back again for another 6-year term. Thank you very much.